All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 reviews up this week, and yes, all full reviews this week. No early access stuff. Anyway, so with that in mind, first up this week is Aura of Worlds. Aura of Worlds is a chaotic, creative tactics roguelike platformer. Experience multiple dungeons where you utilize creative abilities and wield the environment to your advantage. Blast, dash, grapple, fight, and charm your way through ever-changing labyrinths and outwit powerful guardians. Not sure some of the words used here should have been used. Like charm? Charming didn't really come up. At least not in... Or that might be an advanced tactic. Like, also, you're not really outwitting the powerful guardians. More, you're stabbing them until they stop moving. You know, it's generally not considered using your wits. But I digress. Anyway, so... taking away a few words here, it is a roguelike platform. Emphasis on the roguelite, which means it is, it's the LITE light, as in it's got permanent upgrades of two varieties. There's the stat boosts, getting more energy, starting with healing potions, that kind of deal. But there's also another unlockable tree where you do have to rescue the merchant from the first level, but once you do that, you are able to unlock new weapons for your starting cachet. So it's got the bases covered on the roguelike part. And also, because it's a roguelike platformer, it is really fucking difficult. So do keep that in mind. This game will kick your ass, though perhaps not as much as you might think. Like, how do I put this? It's not, say, Super Meat Boy, 1001 Spikes levels of cruel design, but it does, make no mistake, it's got its share of traps and unseeable spikes that are frustrating to hit. Especially since, this is all procedurally generated, so you never know when you might hit a spiky death. Anyway, getting into the controls, in the blurb there, it mentioned, it's later on, it's got 360 degrees of control, sort of. That is to say, certain weapons take advantage of that. For example, the sword here, that swings like a pretty traditional video game sword. It's more the boomerang. Grenades, if you want a melee weapon that controls in 360 degrees, that's the spear. Trying to remember, the shield doesn't operate on the 360 degree axis either, so it is a bit more maneuverable than a typical video game shield. Anyway, so what that equates to is if you're not using a controller for this, a mouse and keyboard can be a viable choice, at least in the sense of aiming, because mouse aim is going to be more accurate than analog stick aiming, as it always is. thankfully, because of the options on display here, we're not getting puzzling design choices on the default control scheme. You can remap things, but put it to you this way: we're not getting the jump button on the fucking left bumper. Still the most baffling game design choice we've seen this year. At least on the surface.
Oh, we'll be getting to some in mine.
I look forward to that. But, all in all, it's a pretty conventional playing game. Also worth noting, you do not have infinite wall jumps or anything of that. I'm like, you only start out with one wall, jump, and if you find the appropriate rune, you can gain another wall jump. Ditto, you can get the double jump from a rune. There's like the optional movement options that don't get retained if you die. Or, once again, that's probably a later unlockable. Yeah. I suppose the final thing to mention is, like, in the levels themselves, they're typically divided into 3 segments and then a boss encounter. Some other roguelike platformer conventions are the boss you face at the end of a stage will be randomized among a set of bosses. For example, the first boss is usually either a bronze golem or a giant slime in the Dragon Quest sense of slimes. Could be more, but I only encountered those 2. But like I said, if you play a fair amount of roguelikes, like to do the rotating boss thing, keeps things fresh. Now you got the teleporter here, or the emergency teleporter. You don't have a infinite amount of those. I think. Oh right, some of the level segments may be on Death Trap watch. That is to say, like the third part of the like the grotto. Sometimes can be a gas-filled. You got to run to the end, or you're gonna suffocate. It took me a few tries to reconcile that. Also along those lines, there are sometimes cursed chests that if you unlock, it will bring the hunter to the field. The hunter is your speed up mechanic.
Like your Reaper or various other things from like other games.
Yep. It's like if you take too long in the area, this thing will come out and will chase you until you're out of the area.
Is he unkillable?
As far as I could tell, yes. But if you do escape, you get a rare achievement.
Fine.
Apparently, less than 2% of people have unlocked this, and I'm one of them.
Fine.
So it's, I suppose so. Oh right, another optional inventory movement thing is the grapple hook. It operates more physics-based than you'd think a 2D platformer grapple hook would operate, but it's not entirely physics dependent. Like it's got you can swing back and forth via inertia, but you don't have to worry about the rope breaking. but it's not like, say, the Bionic Commando arm or variants therein where it's kind of auto grappled either. It takes, and here's the merchant I was talking about. Okay, blacksmith technically, but same difference.
Right. Spider-Man. Let's not get DMCA'd.
Stop singing then. And really, I think that's about what I got. Oh, right. Don't hit the lanterns with your sword. They will explode into fiery messes that will burn you.
Oh, okay, this is actually kind of cool, where the rope will bend around objects on the grapple.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like
well, because I'm used to, like, a lot of indie games where that would either just clip through or you just bounce off wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Like I said, it's actually a pretty good grappling hook. But, shockingly not a main mechanic, given how much effort was put into it. And I think that really sums up my feelings on Aura of Worlds. This is a really well-made game, though not the type of game I actively play for more than a couple hours, because honestly I find rogue-like platformers to be too frustrating for me to persist in.
Yeah.
It's also that I've never been a fan of the level of choice in, like, skipping roguelike platformers. That is to say, you will have the option to play later levels, though with this one, you will have to pay some of the in-game currency, which is like bloody 7 coins, which is pretty expensive. That's more than a lot of beginning upgrades.
And that to basically replay the seed you're on?
I'm like, no. Like, that's that's the thing. But I suppose it's like you'll miss things. You'll miss power-ups. Right. There's the blacksmith's anvil that you can find on the stages, which will allow you a power-up. Reducing cooldown periods, adding a hazardous effect to your sword, that kind of deal. Like I said, it's got a lot of bits and bobs you've seen before in other games, other platformers, other roguelike platformers, but it puts them all together pretty well. This is not my kind of game. Petty, do you have any additional thoughts since you've been playing it?
Just the little bit I've played, it struck me similar to, like, Terraria.
Like,
only without basically you pulled the crafting elements out of Terraria and just went on, like, a combat mod server.
Right. Anyway, in terms of pricing, it will clock you back about $14.99, though it's still on its intro offer of $12.74 at time of recording, though that will expire very soon. So, ultimate question here is, is the game worth $15? If you're into this style of game, I would definitely say that is the case. It's a very good one of these, but
emphasis on the one of these.
Yeah, but it's like, if you're not into procedural generation, if you're not into skull crushing difficulty, I will say on the roguelike side of things, this is actually on the easier bent. Like, I've played much harder.
Oh yeah, like even with my messing around, like, yeah, I've definitely played things that would probably have broken me over its knee by now.
Yeah. But it's still harder than your average platformer, or even an indie platformer. That isn't right into the whole masochistic platformer thing, but that's a different subgenre as far as I'm concerned. Like, if you're going the Super Meat Boy route, you're doing a different thing than what this game is. Anyway, but like I said, honestly, one of the better games that I've played. Like, anyway, I think that's about all I've got. So that'll about do it for this game. Be sure to tune in after the break as Petty Fan reviews Mind Siege.